Okay, so I think we're ready to deploy. We've just written all our OpenTofu code to declare a Google storage bucket and a cloud function, and we've got all our code ready for the cloud function. So what we're going to want to do is just say new terminal, tofu plan. We probably need tofu in it. Okay, it's ready to do the tofu plan now. So this is now going to be a little bit of debugging. So on line 37, there's no local config location, it's region. Let's just see if there's any more of those. That's there as well. Oh, we're going to search for location. Okay, I think that might be the only one, fingers crossed. Do tofu plan again. Everything seems to look good. We'll look at the plan again just now, but this essentially tells you everything that's going to change, but it'll do the same thing when we say tofu apply. So this gives out the same plan and it'll tell you everything that it wants to change on your Google Cloud project. So the green is going to be create, and it's going to do a lot of creation, obviously. So it's going to create the Google Cloud IAM binding. It'll want to create the cloud function name. It'll add the APIs here. There's a couple of them, and this is just running a for loop. Then it'll create a Google Cloud Storage bucket, and it'll add a bucket object. And then it'll just output the function URI. It says only yes will be accepted to approve. So I could say no, and it'll cancel the application, but let's just continue instead. I can even just press nothing and it'll cancel. But let's just say yes. And this will take some time. It'll take a couple seconds. And if it's the first time adding these functions, it might take a couple minutes. Oh, and just as a side note, the reason why I chose config region is it's common terminology to use regions and zones. We don't need to define a zone for this tutorial as of yet, so I've left it out of the configuration. But yeah, regions are what we use for all of our things. Okay, so it says no matching distribution found for functions framework. We can look into the build logs, but let's just try one thing. Let's just comment that out instead. This might have been a change that they've made on their side. And again, we don't need functions framework. Let's just apply as is. Let's just see. Did I misspell functions framework? I did. That's what I got wrong. Okay. Let's run it one last time. So this does need to be in place. I just misspelled it. That's why I couldn't see it. Let's hit tofu apply again. It'll identify the changes. And there should be 2 more changes to be made. 3 to add, 2 to destroy. Will be the cloud storage bucket object. the function, it'll change the IAM binding as well, it seems. Oh yeah, so we get another error. The basic function of kind job does not exist. I just needed to change job to service in the Cloud Run v2 service IAM binding. Okay. So it seems to work, and this is the output, and if we click here, we will see there the example domain with this cloud function. Oh, it was a service. Okay. That was my mistake. Okay, Google Cloud Run v2 service IAM binding. So this cloud function is successfully run, and yeah, we'll see one or two adjustments that we can make just now. Okay, so now that we've finished with this, let's just see what else we can do. Let's say that this all actually turned out to be a test environment, but now you're happy to take this possibly into production. This will be a completely different Google Cloud project, for example. Wouldn't be this one. Maybe we make it prod, for example, and we'll just add prod to these variables when we download a service account key. What this lets us do then is this code, this Python code then can then be run, and it will set everything up, which we can do right now. Again, just a warning, you can only make 10 accounts as a regular user for Google Cloud, as an individual user. If you're an enterprise user, you can probably create a lot more, but yeah, individuals are usually limited to 10. Okay, my billing quota is exceeded. This is essentially what I mentioned, except I don't quite have 10. So I'm going to quickly fix that. I'm going to quickly remove a project from my billing accounts. Okay, let's retry again. Except we just remove the link here. This is a very terrible way of doing it. The billing has now been re-enabled. And we should see a new service account pop up here, a service account key. And there it is. So it's done here. And now what we're going to need to do is then check with Tofu, because currently Tofu's got a lock on the old project, the non-prod project. And so what we're going to need to do is there's a workspaces command here, and these are the commands that the workspace lets you work with. So the current workspace is usually the default. That's what we start off with. So if we say tofu list, this is going to list all the workspaces that we have. As you can see, it is the default there, but we want to create a new workspace. So we want to say new prod. So now we're in this new empty workspace. And if we say tofu plan, as it suggests, there'll be a lot of things to create. And if we apply that, and then we say yes, it should create everything from scratch in a completely new project. Okay, so it's just outputted the function URI for us, but we can also say tofu output. And again, it produces the same thing for us. If we click on this, we can see here, again, the same thing, but now from a completely new project. Again, we just listed the commands. If you want to go back to the previous workspace, we can just go workspace list, workspace help, and we can say workspace select default. And again, we've moved back to the prior GCP project. The reason why it's often better to work with workspaces as well is because Terraform keeps track of which resources link to which values in your code. So this piece of code here is linked to a resource, or this one here, etc. And each of them have a unique ID, and if you delete the Terraform lock or you restart it from scratch completely, it'll lose track of those and it will not see the existing resources on the project as linked to these pieces of code. So that's why workspaces are fundamental. And if you do need to delete something from the workspace, there are commands to do that, and set items for deletion as well.